Kael beheaded the queen who had transformed into a dragon. And this was unfortunately after she had used her breath against Maze, felling her and then biting into her, apparently ending her life. As Maze lay at the base of the throne with her final motions and movements, she grasped a hold of the leaf that Morelia had given her. She then exploded into purplish flames and disappeared from the space. What was left was a rapidly growing tree, very similar to the one that had been seen in Morelia's house. At this time, the tree is actually vibrant with light as well, somewhat contrasting the tree in Morelia's. But this new growth is shining a light upon this dark space. However, it is only at about sapling height now, though it is at this moment continuing to still grow. And Maze is missing. Coral, the little goblin that they had rescued from the jail cell on a chanced high roll, and they have their little companion now resting upon Kael shoulder, fully convinced that she was in fact the one to slay the dragon. And that is where we will pick up with Halfgren having just pointed out that the tree was growing, everyone realizing that, and the space within the throne room quiet for now. How will you guys start things?
I do reckon we ought to get ourselves out of here.
Yeah, that's a good plan. That's a good plan. Yeah. What are we gonna do about Maze?
Well, if you don't mind me being crass, but fuck her. Let's get out of here.
After being stabbed in the heart, I would imagine that's a
reason.
Rather fitting. Yeah, but it hasn't been. He does not really aware of it yet.
I don't care.
Nice. So,
I would like to go over and like stabilize her and make sure she's all right. At least give her that much.
So, as you approach the spot where her body was, it's gone. Oh. After that flash of light, all that remains in this space is the young tree that is akin to a extremely healthy variant of the jungled trees that were on the path up that matched with the tree inside of Morelia's house. That's all that remains.
How big is this dragon's head?
So
like cow size?
Yeah, a little bit bigger than that, but
big
wrap around it, like
it's carryable.
I'm gonna sling that across my back. Yeah. I'm taking that with me.
Okay, absolutely. You now have a young shadow dragon head.
Yes.
Make sure we put that in your inventory.
Yeah.
And
so he's doing that. I am gonna do just a little druidic prayer for the tree.
Okay, perfect. Does that have any immediate effect, or is it just a flavor?
Just flavor.
Perfect. Awesome.
Just doing Brynn things.
Yeah, absolutely. As you do so, you kind of
basically just wishing it good health and happy growing.
Perfect.
What was the name of this place?
You're such a wonderful person, Sorrow Man.
You know, I don't. No one knows it. Wow, well, it's just a shadow place.
It is, but actually, roll. I do want you to roll for that one.
History or something.
Yeah, roll.
I've not been good at taking
history.
notes.
It'd be a 13.
13. It wasn't actually mentioned,
Okay.
which it really wasn't in the episodes or anything. So, yeah,
Okay.
you aren't aware of it at this time.
It's just going to be Drow Town.
Yeah, that's cool. In your notes that you're keeping of your report, absolutely.
It's the Queen of Drow Town's head.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love it. So, as you guys, are your wolves still up? Or did they disperse, or would you have dispersed them?
They probably would have dispersed when he started doing prayer.
They're probably gone.
Okay, so we'll count them gone. And
Forgot about the wolves.
So each of your wolves begin to slowly fade and dissipate one by one.
Kind of like like a sparkly, like kind of like glittery, like just kind of disappear into the ether.
Absolutely, that's exactly what happens.
Like they start trotting away, and then they just
they're just kind of doing their thing, and then they just kind of like.
Yep. Yeah, they're all kind of around this tree, inspecting it out of curiosity for what had just happened in this space, and then slowly they just fade away into this beautiful kind of fog that rises from the area. It's got these sparkles of almost like diamonds within as it kind of fades away up to the top and just
you hear 3
dissipates
howls
from the area.
Is there any loot about?
So you killed Zakai. You can loot him. If you want to do an investigation on that, or just a general investigation for the whole room, you can do as well.
Yeah. I'll go for it.
Because the form of the queen has stayed as a dragon. 13.
A 17 on investigation.
Okay, so both of you kind of working through. You do, of course, Zakai has a multitude of daggers on him. The 2 most notable are the ones that he has drawn each time he's fought you, Kael. And I guess actually you as well, because you fought him previously before he bamped out. So those are definitely pretty powerful. They, as you've experienced, are laced with some form of like arcane poison. And they are very, very well made. Amongst the rest of his belongings, you don't find a whole lot. There is a pouch of 100 gold, and along with that, of course, there's the mask.
Yep.
Because he disappeared, but his stuff is still there. So he faded away, very similar to Sanasa. And so you have the 2 daggers, the mask, and the gold.
All right. Well, I'll take the daggers and mask to be investigated.
It's all yours. Brynn has no interest in those things.
Do you want the money?
Nope.
You don't want the money? I'll take the money.
Brynn just wants berries.
What metal currency matters to Brynn?
Yeah. Metal currency. So at this time, after kind of investigating, you begin to hear... Actually, both of you make a perception check. See if you do hear it happen.
Nope.
I'll make one for Halfgren just to see if he warns you.
Perception...
And Coral. I forgot she's here too.
Is 15.
Halfgren got a 4 and Coral got a 3.
All right, well, 15.
15. Perfect. So you do, you hear kind of some rustling and movement, footsteps just outside the door.
It's probably time to go.
Yep.
And so how are you going to escape? What's your plan?
Halfgren, can we get out of there through that tree?
The little baby tree?
I don't think you'll fit, man. Not yet. It's growing fast though. As you see now, it's gone from this like sapling size to like a full hand's width across. So it is rapidly growing.
I thought this was we'll see it later, like down the road kind of
No,
thing.
it is very rapidly growing. As far as how a tree functions, it would be like every year is happening in a second's time. So it is, but it's not there at the moment.
All right, well, I set the head and my pack and everything down, and I just get my blade ready.
Okay.
Are there doors we can bar?
There's the one door that you've seen coming in. If you'd like to look for another one, you can make a investigation on that.
Sure. Is that where the sounds are coming from?
The sounds are coming from the main door at this moment.
Main door.
And it sounds almost kind of just like a mustering.
Yeah, that's a 19 on that investigation.
19.
How long do you think it'll take?
I mean, it's going fast here. It shouldn't be long. And you kind of glancing about, you do see 2 doors on opposite sides, about just big enough for one person to come through, at the back side of where like the throne's dais is. They're kind of hidden behind tapestries, but glancing back behind real quick, you happen to notice it's right there on each side. But they don't appear to be opened, and there's no movement in that area.
Mm-hmm. But the big main door is where we heard the commotion. You said.
Can you do anything to hinder the movement?
Oh, hey, can I I was going to ask about one thing, but this makes more sense. Can I entangle that main door to just, like, shut it? Like, keep it shut?
Using the spell Entangle?
Yeah. Initially, it was going to be like, hey, can I just toss a bunch of ice knives at it and
see what happens?
But,
yeah.
That's not really how that spell works.
Entangle is described as grasping weeds and vines sprout from the ground in a 20-foot square starting from a point within range. For the duration, these plants turn the ground in the area to difficult terrain.
That's more of like the combat aspect of it, but I want to use it as like a just seal off the door.
So what we'll do is a creature in the area, when you cast the spell, must succeed on a strength saving throw or be restrained by the entangling plants until the spell ends. A door obviously doesn't have a strength, so you cast the spell and it immediately takes effect. The vines grow up across it, crisscrossing all the way across the center gap of it and closing off into the side where the hinging is. You see this happen, and you feel quite confident that it will hold for some time, possibly. It is a strength save of 15, and to combat that, now as you hear the commotion, the movement commotion kind of come to a stop, you hear a voice. What is this? What are you doing here? What has happened? We're not sure. There's noises from inside. The queen said to wait out here while the prisoners were brought to her, but I am not confident anymore. And you hear kind of a momentary pause, and each of you roll a d20. Let's see if there's any modifiers.
20.
I got a 20. Okay. I got a 12.
12. So you, Brynn, kind of feel this presence on your mind, and it's very uncomfortable, very dark, gives you this very foreboding type of feeling. And Kael at Strats, you just kind of glance about, wondering who's going to come from where, sword ready, but you notice nothing odd about this situation.
I've strapped the sword sheath to my back, right?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. And Coral is standing on your shoulders, kind of mimicking you, but with your dagger, the one that you had previously had.
Yeah. The one that she launched herself out of my tabard with.
Exactly. Yep. So she's like, her great sword in hand, and yours in hand as well, standing up, very well balanced, it would seem. Halfgren's kind of focusing on the tree, like he looks like he may be saying some kind of prayer to try to like speed it up. And you're not sure if it's actually taking effect or not, but then you do hear that same voice. Open this door now. We must get in there. Something terrible has happened. And then you hear kind of this like multitude of individuals slam against the door to open it.
Anything to make this go faster would be great.
And you see the door kind of come a ways. Then it happens again, and the vines begin to kind of, and as that happens, you hear them kind of commotion back and forth, like obviously discussing the situation. And the door is barred. What do we do? Stand back. And you kind of hear this like chanting of some sorts coming from out in the hallway, and it begins to grow louder and louder. And at this point, the tree behind you both glance back. It is the width of Brynn's shoulder blades, or the shoulders, but it's not quite like he would have to kind of squeeze a little angle to get through there. Coral could go through if Halfgren had opened it yet. However, you will not yet fit through this door. And then as the chanting kind of comes to a crescendo, the door blows open, the vines shattering, snapping, and splinters flying kind of all around you guys. These cosmic looking flames shoot through, purples and golds and aqua colors, all just twisting about, filling the entire doorway space. Immediately upon this happening, 2 arrows wildly shoot through, and Does anybody have a AC that is below or at 10?
No.
Okay, so 2 arrows shoot wide, hitting the areas kind of just behind you, clattering off the steps. They were just immediately ready to fire as they came through. However, this explosion has kind of mildly disoriented them with the amount of light that it put off while they're not particularly used to this much light.
Right.
The vines that remained on the broken now doors are on fire with the same color of flames. And
I take this moment to put the pack on my back.
okay. And you see 8 different guards come rushing in. Some of the more normal guards, they're not the Queen's Guard attire and armor, but they are armored as the guards at the gates that you had seen when being brought in and when actually being brought in for both of you. And in between them is the individual that you had seen walking down the hallway as you guys were. He was kind of like casting something as he walked past you guys to come and retrieve you. And right, as he kind of steps into the space again, moving his hands around to cast something, staring you dead in the eyes.
Do we have any? Are they all fiend and or fae?
None of them would be.
Okay, then no.
Okay.
Classified racially?
And at that moment, as he begins to seemingly start another chant, Halfgrin, Brynn, dragon, get in here! And Coral just runs, and as Halfgrin slams his hand against the tree, which is now this wide, it opens up. And Coral just full run, almost as if she knew exactly what was happening here, just disappears through it. And
you first.
I'm gonna toss a quick entangle out amongst the rabble as I jump through.
Okay. Entangle is the same concept. So group save, his save, and okay. So you see this focus that you have on this one individual is intense in this moment. You know that he is the biggest threat, and your vines, instead of spreading across this whole area, they centralize and just grab a hold of him, and his hands that were moving come to a stop, and one of the vines comes across his mouth and just covers him so that he can't speak. He rolled a 3 and the others rolled a 16. But the guards do continue to advance, now drawing swords and rushing forward towards you.
All right. You're heading in?
Oh yeah, I'm in.
Okay.
Right,
all right, I'm just gonna, as I turn around, just grab whatever I've got the head attached to and just kind of hoist it and just like run through like this.
Okay, perfect.
There's no...
Yep, so you pop through Brynn, right over Coral, kind of stumbling slightly, and she's, watch out! Then she runs off to the side and kind of ducks down in some bushes. You then just burst through, and you hear this sound, and then the light coming from where the trees area is, just vibrant green light just emanates through it, and then Halfgrin comes through and the tree closes behind him. As the tree closes behind him, is anybody's AC lower than 15?
Nope.
Yep.
Mine's not.
So yours is? What is it specifically?
13.
13. So an arrow shoots through and does in fact hit you in one shoulder, but not doing much damage, only 2 points of damage on that. So you do have an arrow that just hits you right at the end.
Rude.
And it's almost like snapped off, like a clean cut back behind it, because the full thing didn't even make it all the way through, but rolled just high enough for it to actually make it. But at this moment, you guys find yourselves back into familiar territory somewhat. Familiar to you, Brynn. refreshingly
We're not
underground.
Refreshingly not drow infested.
Exactly. So you do feel that you have escaped the space. Halfgren seems very worn out, very tired in this moment, just kind of heavily breathing, like he had very much exerted himself in those last moments within the area. He has a thing that he would do in this moment. He comes over to you, Brynn, and he just kind of like rests one hand on your shoulder, and the other he kind of grabs a hold of the arrow and slowly twisting it to match the entry of it, pulls it out, causing no pain or additional damage of any kind in that moment. And oh god, I just accidentally opened Photoshop. That might break stuff. And you feel kind of invigorated, your health rising as he casts Cure Wounds on you, which is in fact a D8, not that one that I rolled, and you regain 6 hit points. So you can add that to yourself as well.
Thank you,
Coral. How are you, little one?
What in the world? This is too much for me. That place. What? She looks at Halfgren. Where are we? And he just stares at her like.
It's called the forest.
They didn't bond
forest
in their time together.
They were separated.
They were
themselves.
separated.
And she was hiding the entire time. Yeah. As I said, you guys are very lucky to have found her. Not necessarily lucky, but it was a good roll that found her.
I think we're lucky.
So
worked out.
But are you okay? Are you hurt?
She looks down and she's like bruising, like you can actually see kind of her skin is like darker, like kind of everywhere from being batted aside. And it's almost like she just now noticed that she got hurt so badly. It's like,
yeah,
coming down from the
she just sits down.
Give me a hand. And then I put my other hand over it, and I cast Lay on Hands.
Okay. And what is the effect that takes?
How much do I have to heal her for?
It didn't mark
10?
Her damage, so whatever
10?
You say. 10, yeah. That'll do. Yeah, that's reasonable. For
small creature, heal her up as much as she probably needs.
Mm-hmm. And as you do this, you actually see your hands kind of light up in this glowing yellow energy that transitions slowly around her hand and her arm and then begins to fade into her, and her eyes, which are roughly the same color, just like spotlights. And you're seeing this reflected back at you, and her eyes go wide like
there's no coral, only Zool. I've awakened an elder god.
She begins to grow into an enormous I'm kidding. Right. Spitting fire at you. Yeah. No. So however she does the coloring, the bruising just begins to immediately fade back to her normal pigment, and she stands up and kind of flexes a little bit as you release her hand, thank you. Well, where to now? And she climbs up you again.
Yeah.
So.
Well, after that, I just I put my sword away. Yeah. I set the dragon head down for a bit. Mm-hmm. And I just do the same thing.
Yeah.
Over my face. Just like that. Mm-hmm. And then heal myself to 35.
Nice. 235 hit points. Yeah. You see the same kind of concept of when he lays his hands on his face, the glowing emanates from him, pulses through his face, and then seeps into his skin, closing up some of the wounds that he had.
Sick.
So at this moment, you guys are in the wilderness again. Yourselves, Halfgren, Coral. Halfgren looks fine. He just is tired.
Old, haggard.
Yeah, just old and tired. He's an old human. So he's kind of just sitting down, leaning up against his staff, knowing he's in as far as he would assume relative safety in this moment, and just kind of half asleep, rested against his staff that he's now carrying again.
I reckon it's time for us to rest.
We might get somewhere a little more homey first.
Whatever that is, let's go.
Fine, young ones. He stands up. Coral's just sitting there like, I'm fine. Halfgren gives her this like, goblins. Steadies himself, kind of stretches a little bit, and then seems to have taken strength back and just plots ahead. What order are you guys gonna kind of walk in, headed back?
I'll walk in the back.
Because it's not. You didn't end up in the clearing. You ended up in. I know this tree. Let's go.
Right.
Kind of space. So
Right.
you actually still see the mountains kind of looming up behind you. You know that you're off, kind of like a middle distance between the entry to the cave area and Ursil, which you have heard tales of previously, Brynn, and would be familiar with from your studies, Kael, as the kind of northernmost prominent city in Anadar. It's built into the side of the mountains. You're, as stated, about halfway between that entrance area and Ursil, which you would be aware of and could relay, and Halfgren would also kind of, that's where we are. So you know it would take approximately 2 to 3 days travel to get back to your home. And this isn't a necessarily well-traveled area. You guys would be able to make it through at a relatively reasonable pace. However, with the new changes that have been taking place in the shifting forest, you do feel a sense of not really worry, but kind of worry, more of alertness, of like, after everything that's just happened over the past few days in this instance, what if something else happens here, kind of thing.
It's literally been 5 days or something like that since we've met, right?
I think you guys are actually pushing up more along the 2-week mark at this moment.
Oh yeah, it takes some time to walk.
Because of the traveling in, traveling away from the Halfgren and Brynn's home, and then all the travel into the space, and then the time in there. I think we're roughly about the 2-week mark at this point. A lot has happened in 2 weeks, but we're roughly at that moment. The past 3 days, however, have taken place over the 3 to 4 days have taken place over the encounter while tracking the path, and then your time of about 3 days inside of the prison's area upon your then rapid escape and now freedom.
Okay.
So Halfgren and Brynn leading you guys through, and Kael Strat's kind of bringing up the rear a little bit to just make sure nothing's following you guys.
Like Coral and I are doing, like, I look this way.
Yeah.
And then
Already perfectly attuned to each other. The moment that you look back for an instance and see this kind of periscoping happen, where every time that Kael is looking this way, you see Coral immediately looking this way, and then as he looks forward, she looks back this way, and kind of just like keeps spinning around him. So he's only kind of going like this, and she's like keeping a full perimeter every which way that he's not looking. So when he's dead forward, she's looking behind, kind of on his chest, like
Maybe
looking
sometimes
over.
sitting on the dragon head on his back.
Yeah, just kind of like rummaging, like bouncing back and forth as she goes, almost like she's riding a horse or something. Just keeping a very vigilant eye. Actually, let's see how vigilant her eye is. And if you guys want to make perception checks.
Steed, I don't.
Right.
Yeah. So she seems solely confident that she would see anything and everything from anywhere, and relays this in a multitude of reminders of
Squeaks and.
I'm on it.
I've got this. Nothing's gonna get us from behind here. Nobody. Nothing.
You hear a twig snap behind you, and she kind of ducks down.
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Little one, how did you find yourself in that cell?
Well,
I don't know if is she little? She's pretty little.
Oh, itty bitty, like a
skirting around my
pound.
head.
She's like a tiny goblin. So like there's goblins,
Right.
and then there's Coral.
Oh.
So she's literally like this little cat of some sorts.
Goblin child?
You can't
Or
quite.
just a small
Maybe.
goblin?
The roll whatever determines the answer to that. I think it's like a wisdom
You
or
tell
something.
me.
Like it'd be like a wisdom or maybe a history of some kind, whichever kind of you prefer.
No. Either way, I feel like I don't know much.
Would you
I
roll?
rolled a 4.
Okay. Yeah, probably not. You just can't quite tell, and it was actually a fairly high DC anyways because she has this like
I'm probably not familiar with goblins.
yeah, you're not super familiar with goblins, but she also has this like really young energy, but yet I mean she looks kind of like wrinkled behind the eyes and stuff at the same time, but maybe that's just a hard life, or maybe it's just the time she spent in the cell kind of wearing on her. But yet she seems so young at the same time, especially because of her
She's
tiny
half
form. So
Half hobbit, half goblin. That's how you explain
gobbit?
anything being
a
small.
gaffling. But eventually, after kind of like doing that weird spaced out kind of thought process thing where you can see like the rusty gears beginning to gear back into place,
The rocks are
figurative
clunking
smoke
around.
pouring out of her ears.
It's not a hard question.
I got caught. I was.
Yeah, that happened to us too.
Well, see, it's not just me.
I'm like, was it? I don't remember.
Right.
All I remember is getting stabbed in the chest by someone I thought I could trust.
My tribe doesn't like me very much. I wanted to prove myself, so I left, and I was going to take something from the queen, and she has jewels and treasures.
Head.
Yeah. And I thought that if I could bring it back, something big and shiny and worthy that I got from there,
Like a dragon head?
they would
I mean,
accept me
maybe.
finally. But I
Who's
just
they?
the tribe that I'm from, the underdark tribe, and between that place and Ersil, it's a terrible place.
How do you like it up here?
It smells better.
That's good.
She kind of
Would
smells
you like
you.
to stay up here?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to be my friend?
She kind of looks at you like,
Why me?
Why, what?
What?
I mean,
Why?
You have
she's very suspicious.
friends.
you helped us. You helped us get out of there.
Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm.
She does that big, like creepy smile again, just
Right.
like she's forcing it almost.
Do you want to be friends?
Yes.
Okay. Well, friends, keep a lookout for each other's backs. So we're going.
She turns immediately and looks behind you, and you guys are like this close while this is happening. She's like on your shoulder, face to face
Yeah,
with
I'm
you.
doing one of these.
Yeah. And as you say it, she like looks behind you.
Okay. And we keep a watch out and we protect each other. And that's what we're going to do. Sound good?
Yes.
And she like salutes.
All right. Here, and I reach in. When was the last time you ate?
again, spaced out. I'm not going to do it in real time this time, but spaces out for a solid like 30 seconds.
I guess it means it's been a long time.
Yes.
Yeah. And I get out and I have I get out and I give her one of my rations.
Okay, she grabs a hold of this and
some dried fruit, some hardtack and jerky.
Yeah. She just takes all of it at once, doesn't even like try to like separate it or anything, and just like devours it, just ravenous, like spittle flying out, but none of the food leaving. Like a little bit of it kind of like shoots away for a second, like she just kind of drops it because she's so voracious with it, and she like doesn't even look away and catches it and just.
I turn to Brynn and go, "See, this is why when I give people food."
Forgot about that. And so she is quite happy at this moment. And after finishing devouring this meal, sits back down behind you. And
you saw, while that was happening, you saw Brynn like taking a ration out and just like gnawing on it, and he's like, "Nope." Just completely turned off the idea.
Yeah, as soon as she starts getting spittle everywhere, just you lose all appetite. You got a little on the side of your face. Maybe. You just kind of like, but understanding.
Yeah, I'm just like.
And after finishing her meal, she silently at this moment sits down, looking directly behind you guys, on your shoulder, back, front, and then just like holding on. But staring behind, keeping a close eye out.
Right on.
Doing her task.
Yeah. This is all while we're just kind of walking. So.
Exactly.
What's our progress on?
So I'd say that you guys have probably, because this area, you've probably gone for about a few miles, actually. You've made pretty good time with Halfgren and Brynn being right up front, kind of just weaving through, almost like deer or rabbits. They're so familiar with this space. Even though they haven't traveled it for very long, it's almost like the memory just kind of comes back as soon as they had started to go. Between the two of them, there's no need to make any kind of checks or anything on that. You guys are able to make really good time, but you do start to notice the sun dropping, and it is soon going to be dark.
Okay.
So Halfgren seems to be kind of pushing the pace, but at the same time checking in, kind of like silently, just kind of glancing to check in on the two of you, make sure that you guys are still keeping up properly and not looking too worn from the time. So he's not suggesting a stop necessarily, but you do both notice that the sun is starting to go down, and you're starting to feel kind of the effects of everything.
Well, and it's not safe to run around in the woods at night when it gets too dark.
Maybe for you.
Well, yeah. Exactly. No.
You hear Halfgren kind of hear this conversation and starts laughing.
Right, it's like the conversation's like, well, maybe it's not so safe to be running around. And you're like, well, maybe for you. And I'm like, right.
Well, we can stop here, just up ahead. There's a small spring. Should be good. And you guys do come to a space just a few moments later that clears out suddenly from a dense wooded area. And there is this small little like babbling brook type of stream, kind of stems from this little pile of rocks that almost look placed there intentionally by the way that they're kind of just piled on each other. But at the same time could be natural. You're just kind of not really sure. But the water that flows from it kind of pools up at the top and then spills over with about a foot of fall there, and then hits another small pool and then trails down. It's only about a couple feet wide in each spot, but very nice looking water. Very refreshing if you decide to drink it.
So there's more than one small pool?
Yes. There's each of which, the pools themselves, so the stream is about 2 feet wide. The pools themselves maybe reach, the top one is probably only still about 2 feet wide, but the bottom one kind of pools a little bit more and is about 5 feet wide or so.
Okay.
On 5 feet diameter.
So we're thinking about like laying down and sleeping here. So if we do that, then would I be dreaming by small pools? No one. That's a song.
I guess
Title.
I processed that you were probably doing a song title thing, but I've never in my life heard of it. I'm probably going to pull it up when we go to the break just to know what this is. But
so I'm sure someone in chat gets
somebody's got to get it.
Okay. Never heard of them.
Yeah, no, just complete for me as well.
Whoosh.
Big whoosh.
Mm-hmm.
You hear a light breeze.
I appreciate your commitment to this bit, though.
To the joke.
To the joke.
I do too,
There's
actually.
a light breeze blowing through the forest right now. You hear nothing but crickets.
Yeah. So as the crickets begin to chirp louder and the breezes blow through the trees, Halfgren gathers together a small amount of timber from the area around that had already fallen and lights it with this green flickering flame, and then proceeds to sit down kind of a little ways away from it, rested up against a tree. And that's where we'll take our break. Nice peaceful moment to do so. Yeah. And we'll come back here in about 5-10 minutes or so. Now we have sound. Having to do that is annoying, but it's all good. So, you guys, we're back, and yay! So now we're going to continue on where we had left off. The group had just come to a very nice, quiet stream where they are taking camp for the evening. So. Are you guys intending to set any kind of watch or anything like that?
I'll take watch.
Okay, perfect. Make a perception roll for me. And are you immediately going to crash, or are you going to stay up and chat or anything?
I'm going to go to sleep.
Okay, perfect. What was your roll?
Perception, you said?
Mm-hmm.
21.
21. Ooh. That's
I'm just whittling.
Good. Yeah.
As I sit there.
Perfect. And you said 21 was yours? Okay. So you do definitely hear some things out and about, kind of in the general area. Some errant howls, and they sound different. Almost like each howl kind of echoes itself, and it sounds cruel in some capacity. Doesn't sound like the woeful sound that you're used to, the almost mesmerizing calm that can come from a standard wolf's howl. Mm-hmm. This is like, it puts you on edge immediately.
It's wrong.
Yeah, it's just plain wrong. You don't see anything nearby, but you do definitely hear that there's something out there, kind of thing.
Just kind of nudge Halfgren awake.
What is it? And they let off again this kind of like
to my ear,
almost sickening type of echoey howl. Well, you better hope those don't show up. I'm gonna go check it out. You two stay here. I'll be back. And he transforms into an owl, and then takes off into the sky.
I'll wake him up as well.
Okay, yeah.
Does that count as a short rest at least?
Yeah, it would. And then so you guys have both taken a short rest at this time. As you kind of sit up together for a little bit of time here, the fire is still going, as it is magical. It has consumed all of the wood, ironically, though. But the fire is still going. It was almost like Halfgren put the wood in there just to, like, put it there. Almost out of ceremony as opposed to need. And so that's still slowly burning away silently.
I'm using 2 hit dice to heal, by the way.
Perfect. And
that's not a mechanic we've yet to use at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And about an hour passes, and you both kind of feel yourselves like calming down. You haven't heard the sounds in a while, and you kind of feel your eyes start to kind of droop a little bit. Are either of you going to resist the sleep intentionally?
Yes.
Okay. So,
in fact, I will wild shape into a wolf for
okay.
vision and smells.
Okay.
Are you going to be sticking around?
I just nod in my wolf form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you would understand, just not be able to respond.
Yeah.
So you kind of you nod in acknowledgement, and then kind of do the little like circle pace around the camp, and then come back and lay down, just looking, and smelling out.
Snarl or growl or bark, whatever wolves do loudly to wake me up.
Confirmed.
So go ahead and do a wolf perception for me. And Kael, you have now kind of fallen back into a bit of a sleep.
Oh, that's not as good as my regular perception was. 16.
16? Okay.
Unless it uses hearing or smell, which I have advantage. So I'm
yeah,
going to say this is
can.
hearing.
Why not? I mean, it's you're trying to perceive something in some capacity, and that would be one of your senses.
16.
So 16. Okay. Okay. So Kael, as you fall into sleep again, you start to have a familiar dream. This one again, you see yourself soaring over the mountains. Kind of deep within them, though, you look to each side and you still see mountains stretching the whole way. Then your vision kind of fades again, similar to what has happened during the transitions previously, and you come in again hearing the ringing of the forge. This time you see the metal, it's almost a continuation of where you were previously. The metal is now crafted more keenly into the shape of a sword, a large sword, that even in this state, prior to being finished, still being hammered on, you notice that it is reflecting all of the light in this space. Very shiny.
The shiniest of swords.
It's almost shimmering across it. It looks like there's some kind of wave going through it that is making the light catch in such a way to where the blade looks somewhat alive. And it's beginning to really take shape. You feel as if you're the one that's crafting this weapon, and you suddenly get this chilled feeling behind you, and you turn around and you see all of the shadows of the space here begin to coalesce together, and they start to form this shape, this kind of humanoid shape. Is there anything that you would specifically attempt to do in this instance?
How bad would it hurt for me to try to swing the not finished sword at it?
You're welcome to try.
I do it.
Okay. As you swing the sword, it feels light in your hands. You feel like, whoa, this is a feather. This is nothing. This is a dagger type of weight. And you bring it up and you swing it across, and as you swing it down, it is still burning red from the fire, from the forge, and it hits this shadowed form and explodes into this white light, just so bright that even your eyes, you wince back from it. And when your vision comes back to, the room is back to the normal way that it was. You look around feeling strange, like you're being watched, like you're sensing something around you. And then the vision fades again into blackness, and you're asleep. Approximately 6 hours have now passed. Full sleep has taken hold. You can mark off a long rest for yourself. And it is still dark because you guys had rested, had begun your rest like right as the sun was setting. So it would be very early morning, like 3 a.m. kind of early, roughly. We'll just say 3 to 4 in the morning. And Brynn, roll a Constitution check for me.
Add 2 to it.
Oh, because you're in his presence, yeah.
Are you conscious though?
Am I waking up?
I would say at this in this moment, you would be kind of coming to.
Okay.
14, 16 plus 2. If what his plus 2?
16 if my thing applies. 14 if not.
What he said.
So intermittently, you've found yourself kind of drifting slightly, and over the course of this time, as Kael kind of rustles beside you, coming awake, you feel as if you may have actually been asleep for a couple of hours, and you kind of don't move very much, but you quickly glance about, trying not to give away that you may have fallen asleep. You're not certain. Halfgrin's not returned.
Should I wake up back as myself? Because it technically only lasts 3 hours right now.
So you are still a wolf.
Okay.
You see Coral kind of just making this horrible, like, tiny snoring noise, but very, like, mucusy.
It's a goblin cute.
and so you're just like, oh. And so she is dead asleep, and Halfgrin has not arrived yet. You do see Brynn or Kael start to kind of do those, you're starting to wake up morning type of thing. Not quite fully there, but definitely kind of you're now not going back to sleep type of scenario.
Checking Reddit.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Roll over.
He pulls out a little stone from his pocket and begins to kind of just swipe his hand across it. Then you do kind of revert back to yourself, sitting there. You kind of glance about, more confused at, did I actually fall asleep then? Because you don't recall the last couple of hours. You would be kind of like half rested at this point, in essence. But you do now have companion awake if you would like to kind of fall into your rest and close that out over the next couple of hours.
Have you been up all night?
Yes, definitely.
Make a deception check.
Ooh, this could be bad. That's a 12.
Against my insight?
Yeah, insight.
That's a 24.
So you kind of look at him.
Well, I'll go with it. I'll be like, how about you get some sleep?
Yeah.
How about you do that? Huh?
That sounds great.
Right. Yeah.
And you noticed that his eyes were like kind of drooped down, a little bit glazed over.
Yeah.
But a little bloodshot. He'd been awake for a while.
Right.
And yeah. And but you're confident that he wasn't.
We had one less watch than I was planning on.
Yeah. And so you fall into a sleep. Kael, make a perception check for me.
Do I get advantage because I have Coral, or is Coral asleep?
Coral is. Are you waking her up?
Yeah.
Okay.
One little one. It's our turn.
Okay.
And we do our thing where we're both looking.
Mm-hmm. So yes, advantage.
Good thing.
Real good thing. 21.
Okay. Which is interesting. Because very interesting, actually.
There's a 14-point difference.
So she has stats as well.
Yeah.
And I rolled, so she rolled a 6 and a 19. She has big bonuses regardless, but really nice. So her total on the 19 is actually a 26. So
she sees everything.
Right, yeah. So almost everything. After a few hours have passed, still like dark, but not pitch dark anymore. You notice that there is kind of a grayness and a blueness to your vision now. You're able to actually see at this point, but it's not. The sun is not up by any means. However, you kind of hear this like breathing, like something laboring around you. A twig snaps off to the distance, and then suddenly from behind where the spring starts, you see the bushes kind of move, and as you see that, Coral goes ah! And a two-headed monstrosity of some kind of large wolf or something. There's this somewhat decay happening on the sides of its faces. Bursts out, and you kind of glance back, and then when you look back to the spot you had seen moving, another one shoots out of there, and Coral's scream would have awoken you, Brynn, with a full rest though at this point. Another one just launches over the top of you like it didn't even see you, jumping into the middle of the space, and you still kind of hear something else behind the area, and at this point, since you guys had you and Coral had such good perceptions on that, we're going to roll initiative for this. Okay. So instead of them getting a surprise, you've dodged that by being over 20s on your perceptions.
Hot digging and do now, dang.
So I will put my screen up here. And okay, anybody over 20? We'll see if one person is.
Is Coral?
I was sick. No, not even remotely. I think she's actually got a pretty high bonus to her.
Yeah.
She's got a +3 to initiative, but however, that only puts her at a 6. So that's her there, and then we'll group that, and yeah, do it that way. Okay. Okay, so what are you guys at on your
19?
Okay, so a 19.
I rolled an 8.
Do you have any pluses?
Nope, I rolled an 8.
Okay. Wait, that means no. Okay, Coral is still below you. I was gonna say, holy crap, because I thought I rolled a 6, but no. So perfect. Okay, and I'm actually using D&D Beyond's Encounter Builder again.
Yay!
I figured some other stuff out. It's kind of a learning curve. I need to do more just research on it.
It's also still beta?
Still alpha, technically, yeah. So like, you have to be a subscriber to D&D Beyond to even have access to it. So it's very alpha, but it does show you a lot of the stuff. I do wish it had there's not a tracker for damage against the monsters. I still have to input that manually elsewhere to track it, but it does keep my numbers here, and then I can remove one as it gets killed or something, or runs or whatever may happen in that instance. But at this moment, you guys have 3 of these two-headed monstrous beasts in front of you. They are canine, similar to wolves, but again, 2 heads. They have these kind of mohawk-like spines of fur going from their heads back to their conjoined shoulder area, and their heads kind of move independently, looking back and forth around, not crossing over, looking back and forth around the space, kind of wondering what they're going to go for. And that is going to bring us in this moment to Brynn. How will you react to the situation?
I will react by conjuring 2 direwolves.
Okay.
And then, as a bonus action, becoming a direwolf.
Okay. And
I've created my own little...
Nice. You've got 3 wolf pack of your own as massive direwolves.
My wolf pack has grown by 2.
Which does bring you...
And it was.
does bring you up to the same sizing, roughly, as these creatures. They are very large.
Pack versus wolf.
And there's 3v3 at this moment. Do your conjured animals have their own initiative? If so, roll that
Roll
for me.
initiative for the summoned creatures as a group.
Okay.
I rolled a 2. It was almost a 20, and I hit my die.
All right, so we'll put Direwolves at the bottom. And I had to, this is the reason I was like pausing for getting initiative done, because I was checking if there were bonuses on these animals.
Sense, right?
I don't think they do though. Nope, they don't. So they're just straight rolled. And
I'm assuming their stats is the same as my form.
little modifications. Yeah. But close.
They changed this.
And that is... Oh, that's interesting. Okay. And what was yours was a 6?
8.
8? Okay.
Those low initiatives, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Other stats are slightly different.
Yeah.
And...
It's
Okay.
I mean, you're magically enhanced.
So as you transform into this, is that a full action to do your transformation, and then you don't have anything else you can do?
I mean, the transformation was the bonus, and then the
This
conjure
conjure is an action. Can they attack on their conjure,
Oh,
or do they have to then wait for initiative?
no, because they
Do they
get
have
initiative
summoning
roll.
sickness?
Yeah. The reason I ask is because, like, if you can attack on a draw, basically, then that would
I don't believe
be a
so.
thing. But I didn't think so either. I was just verifying if you knew or not. So we'll say that they're now at the bottom. So you conjure these wolves around you, and how many hit points do they have?
Hold on, I have it pulled up here.
Okay, so you conjure them around
Each has
you,
37.
and nice. And the beast that's in front of you turns immediately, both heads focusing in on the one closest to it, lunging forward and taking 2 bite attacks against the wolf that you had summoned.
Am I adjacent to the wolf that he summoned?
No.
Okay.
We'll just, for perspective, we'll say you were to the left and this one's to the right. There is another wolf right between the two of you, so you are adjacent to one of them, not this exact one. This will be the one on Brynn's right.
Yep.
However, it is on the first attack is an 8 to hit, and the second one is an 11.
Nope.
Okay. So as it lunges forward,
14.
14s? Okay, perfect. As it lunges forward, snapping at both heads at your direwolf, it dodges out of the way, no trouble at all. The other one that has come forth in this space over the one that you had seen that comes over is going to make 2 attacks at you, Kael, which is a 9 and a 6, so neither of those hit, correct? So again, just because you knew it was coming, based on that moment of advanced warning you got, you were able to dodge away from it. Coral kind of riding across your back, as the other one then that came up that she called out jumps forth and does the exact same thing with a 8 and a 12. Neither one of those hitting either. So you guys have completely dodged all of these beasts that have come forward.
It's the goblin counterbalance.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I'm more agile now, that's all it is.
And
instead of throwing you off, it helped you.
Right.
Well, like I dodged like a little bit too much, where my center of gravity would normally make me go down, but she like leans.
Just kind of leans a little extra and gives you that boost. Heck yeah.
Like grabs your collar and be like.
Yep. And as you dodge both of these, or 4 attacks all at once, you are now up.
All right. Well, I'm going to target one of them.
Okay.
And I'm going to hit it.
With your sword?
With my sword.
Nice.
I'm going to attack twice.
What?
Yeah.
Out of character for you.
I know. But instead of just smiting super hard, I'm going to take a bonus action
Okay.
And I'm going to cast Divine Favor.
Okay.
So until the spell ends, which is 1 minute, my weapon attacks deal an extra d4 damage, radiant damage on a hit.
Nice. So you just remember that extra d4 each time you do.
Mm-hmm. So first swing is a 21.
And that's against one of the
22
creatures. Yeah, that'll hit.
Yep. Second swing.
Is this the one that you both swings the same one? The one that jumped over the water?
Same one.
Okay,
Same one. 10.
10 total does not hit.
Okay. So for the first one, 14 damage.
Oh wow, nice. Okay.
3 radiant.
Perfect.
If that matters.
Actually, I think it might. Actually, no.
Okay.
It does not. It would have made sense if it did, but it does not. So that was 14 total?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So you carve into it, and it growls back at you. Again,
heads.
Echoing both of them at the same time, just zeroed in on you now in this really creepy, almost snake movement type of pattern as they like slowly get ready for another attack. Which then brings us to Coral, who will jump forward off your back. You now see, where did you put the knives actually? I'm gonna roll something for this. Where did you put the two?
I put the two just kind of
in your
here.
spot, like in your belt or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay. So you actually see her jump out with two knives now, a third wedged in behind her belt, just taking all of your knives, and she's just and jumps forward, plunging each one down onto each head of these creatures. And wow, that die took a long time to land. I don't actually have those weapons in our inventory, but I can remember what they are well enough. Oh no, I actually do have them in there. I forgot that I added them. I knew this was going to happen. So, wow, even on the bad roll she hits. 13 and a 23. Dang. So just, and she stabs two knives down into each head and does a total of math. She does a total of math. Oh, the cool thing is this would actually be added up on one animal because it is the same being, even though it has two heads. That's awesome. Yeah. So she does, wow, 6 plus 12.
18.
18, which...
Dang. 18
plus 14, is that 32?
Yeah.
So she jumps forward and goes, stabs through, and both of the creatures, this isn't even with the bonus for the poison stuff, go, and then it falls to the ground, and she just raged in her eyes.
She's a barbarian. I was going to say, she's secretly a barbarian.
She is a rogue. But those daggers are really strong and had nice bonuses to them. She turns and then looks back and then immediately is like, and she stabs the knives down in the belt and runs back up to your shoulder. But then she's like, I got him. Oh shit! She sees the other one over there behind you guys, the one that she had originally seen still. And now it takes us to the Direwolves.
They're gonna just kind of lash out and attack whatever is close.
The same one that had attacked them initially.
Yeah.
You're still right in front of you. That's the one that had jumped over you.
I think they have pack tactics.
And actually, I need to mark off this creature. So wow.
So they're within 5 feet of each other?
The wolves?
Or one of us?
It's within 5 feet of you, yes.
Okay.
It's right adjacent to you.
That's not going to do it.
How do we kill something here?
That might do it. 19.
Excuse me. 19 against the creature? Yeah, that does hit.
It's going to be 11 damage, and it has to do a strength saving throw.
Okay. Of how much?
13.
Well, I rolled a 13, so yes, it succeeds. So whatever its bonuses are would be above that. So I should double check, make sure it doesn't have a minus. Strength, no, it's +2, so 15 total, so it succeeds. And that's everything for your wolves, right?
Unless they get 2 attacks, but that seems a little broken.
Yeah, I think when we did that last time, it really was kind of jacked. So
group.
Yeah, they attack as a group.
Yeah.
Instead of each of them attacking.
Right. So yeah, there's that. That one has now been damaged, and then a fourth one of these creatures slowly. Actually, make. What's your passive perception, Brynn?
Right now, 17.
17. Okay, so you hear something move behind you, and you immediately turn around, preventing from being surprised on this. As another one of these creatures jumps out and, well, does its 2 bites against you, one of which is a nat 20, and the second of which is a total of 11, which is just weird. So,
pretend that now.
Yeah. Let's see, it's a bonus on that is the... So
what kind of damage am I...
It's piercing damage is what it will be.
By how much?
D6s, I don't know. I gotta roll it. It's only one of them though. That's a 2 plus 4 piercing damage.
4?
Yep.
So crit?
No, sorry. Yeah, good point. It is.
Yes, for
Yeah, actually, it is 4 on the die because I only rolled 2, and then +2, so 6 total. And then you have to, and that's on its first. It's only got the 1, and then on its, make a Constitution saving throw. You of at least 12.
Is he within 10 feet of me?
10 feet?
Mm-hmm.
You're separate. He's exactly 10 feet away from you.
Yep, so he gets it.
Mm-hmm.
20 total.
Okay.
You get a +2.
+2, and then you're +2.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So you are fine. You begin to feel kind of like a little sick, but you shake it off.
Remember what I said about poisoning me.
And maybe I am remembering it specifically. So you shake that off, and then there is this chill that washes across the area as the sky that was previously starting to begin lighting up darkens over the boughs of the trees. You hear the trees kind of creak, almost as if a weight is being pressed down on them. And each one of you feel this kind of like, oh, okay, what's going on now type of feeling welling up inside you. And Coral just draws one of the knives out and ducks down behind kind of Kael's back, holding onto the back of his tabard, looks over his shoulder, kind of glancing about. And interesting. There's this kind of joining of where these shadows are, and stepping out of it is this large black-winged creature, these long arms with long extended fingers with jagged nails at the end of them, all black, with this kind of smoke and shadow flowing off of it. It has these 2 large horns that come up from its humanoid face, and long pointed ears and fangs that stick up out of its mouth. It reaches towards Kael and then flows quickly at him. As it does so, it swings its other claw across you, and let's see, 20, dirty 20. It does, let's see, 8 points of damage of psychic damage against you.
Okay.
and then passes through your body. When it passes through you, you feel this chill that's similar to the one you had felt previously, of kind of like an unnatural chill, and it vanishes off into the trees again on the other side of the clearing. And yeah, does that thing. Okay. And then it brings us back around to Brynn.
Me. Boop, 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 boop. You can probably guess, but I would like to bite something.
Perfect. So you have the one wolf that's right near you, or no, it's not a wolf, but it's a wolfish thing. It's right near you. So go ahead and make your attack against that.
21.
21 hits. This is the same one that had jumped over you that your wolves had attacked as well.
That is a big old 14 damage, and you also still have to do a strength saving throw.
Okay. Fails it.
It is
So
prone.
it's knocked prone. And 14 damage, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's knocked prone and it like kind of struggles like it's going to get back up and then falls back down. And is that the end of your turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have
And
any
then
bonus actions as a
it
wolf.
slowly stands back up looking hurt but angry, and then takes 2 attacks against you again. Both of which are over a 16. What's your as a wolf?
14.
14 you said? Yeah. So both of these hit, doing some form of damage. This is what the encounter builder is really good for, is you can have all your stuff on one screen. You just have to scroll up instead of clicking between tabs, which is really awesome. So it does, you have a constitution saving throw on this. It does 7 points of damage, piercing damage outright. And then now you need to make a constitution save over 12.
You did
Successful.
Nice. Dodging it
Just
here.
with the die.
Nice,
But
nice.
then
Good.
plus 4.
So again, you again feel this kind of like sickening feeling, but it feels weaker this time. You're just like, ugh. You shrug it off,
I'm
and
building a resistance to it, like iocane powder.
and then the one that is facing
Inconceivable.
directly at you, Kael, is going to do its
Insert pop
attacks
culture reference here.
with a
Insert pop culture reference here.
17 on one attack.
It's
Okay, and then not enough on another attack.
Yeah.
So it does 4 plus 2, 6 points of piercing damage, and then I'll need you to make the same Constitution saving throw. Over 12.
Got it.
Perfect. And then that moves us to you, actually.
That wasn't nice. I'm gonna hit it with my sword. Not that time. 14.
Yep. Strike across the front of one of their faces.
Reroll that because Great Weapon Fighting is broken. And still have the Divine Flavor.
Okay.
So 12 damage.
Okay. 12 points of damage. And is that the end of your turn?
You don't have any bonus actions I want to do right now.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. So Coral, now somewhat frightened by this situation that had happened, stays on your back and pulls out your dagger and throws it at that one. The same one that you had just hit. And the die was over. I don't know why I'm even checking. Hits it square in the head of the same left side that you had struck up against, left to you, right to it. And she does 2 points of damage to it, extra points, and then just stays up there like just breathing heavily.
Just like clips it.
Yeah, and it's still there like it's embedded into it, but it's like shaking it off. It kind of has this weird tilt to its head, and it's kind of turning back and forth like this towards its shoulder, even though it's stuck into its head right above its eyes.
You know, if they had one brain, they would think, "Oh, I'll just pluck it out." with my
Right?
head.
And that brings us to the Direwolves.
Oh, right.
You do have one on the ground, or not on the ground, just getting up that's in front of you, and then there's the one behind you. And of course the one he's with.
Yeah. Let's get the one that we've already been concentrating on.
Okay, perfect. Roll for attacks.
15 on the die will probably do it.
Yep, that does it. That hits.
10 damage.
Okay, that will do it. Actually, your wolves pounce upon this death dog that's in front of you, and they each take one side and tear into the necks of each side of this creature, and it falls to the ground. Silent. Now your wolves stand there, this blackened blood falling from their snouts, and that brings us to the one behind you, which will make its 2 attacks, neither of which are going to hit. You know it's there, you're ready for it, you dodge out of the way, and suddenly as you dodge, you hear this from behind you, and you feel you feel it? You feel this slicing pain against your back as this shadow then emanates from you, and you feel this cold sensation, and take 12 points of damage.
Ooh.
Psychic damage.
Yike.
Mm-hmm.
Yike.
And
one whole yike.
Yeah. And
entire yike.
You are not affected in any other way, but now standing kind of in the middle of this space is this large shadowed creature, this very demonic looking monstrosity that's just eyeing both of you back and forth. And that brings us back to your turn, Brynn. You have one death dog in front of you, and then this demon behind you.
And then that's it for the death dogs?
The one in front of you, the one in front of him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The one in front of you is
Nearly
hurt,
dead.
but not dead. It's just hurt.
Yeah.
Right,
And the one that he's with has not been hit at all.
I'm going to keep concentrating on these death dogs. And
Perfect.
get the one that's near me.
Awesome. Roll your attack.
How's a 14 sound?
14 does hit. Yep.
And 10 points of damage.
Okay.
And a saving throw.
Oh, yep. I forgot that one. What's the save it's going to do? Did you say 13?
Yes.
Actually still doesn't make it. So it is also knocked prone now.
Just grab it.
Yep. Grab a hold of it and just toss it over. Manhandling this monstrosity in front of you. And then the one that's in front of you, Kael, is going to do its double attacks, which are pluses on the things. Roll up. For a 16 and a 17.
Both hit.
Both hit? Okay. And it
That's a
does.
yike.
So that is 11 points of piercing damage, and then the Constitution saving throw
Of 12 or more.
of 12 or more. Yeah.
Just purely.
Nice. Okay.
Ooh.
So you feel this as soon as it
roll its
launches
head, I'm
in
like,
with both heads on either side of you, like right into each leg. You feel this like sickness kind of well up in you, almost like you're about to immediately throw up, but then you shove their heads off of you and kick them back. And then now you are ready to fight. However, it is going to be that was number 3. Actually, your turn. Yeah.
Aha.
So you are ready to fight.
All right.
Sword.
Do I see the shadow thing behind it?
Yes, it is kind of hovering in the middle over the pool.
Over the pool?
Over the kind of near the pool of water. Yep.
Could I hit it if I swung at it?
Yeah. You'd have to move out of the range with the wolf, but or the death dogs is what they are, and then into its range.
No, I'm gonna just kill it.
Okay.
Dog.
I like
Well,
it. Do exactly that. Kill it.
Attempt it.
Natural one.
Close. For 15.
Does hit, yep.
Okay. Yeah. So wait.
That is a 5,
9.
right? Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
All right, so that hits.
Mm-hmm.
Divine flavor.
Is it actually called Divine Flavor?
It's divine favor.
Oh, okay. It's still
13.
Smack and divine.
13.
Yeah.
Okay, that puts a total of 27 on that one. It is looking hurt. The one head that Coral had hit with the knife is just kind of like asleep looking now. Like it doesn't look dead on that side, but it looks like out of commission basically. And seeing this, Coral kind of regains some courage and again does the and jumps out and throws and jumps down with both blades to hit it. And actually, yeah, with both of them hits, and it would be impossible for it to not kill it. So as this, she kills this one as well, which just happened to happen, which is kind of funny. That she's now killed 2 of these things, and she does, instead of sheathing the blades this time, she kind of like
I'm just rolling tank.
twists them over, and then like just grabs your belt and swings up, and then switches the blades back into her hands, looking at this demon thing in front of her, kind of like wary but ready to attack it. And that brings us to your Direwolves, Brynn.
All right.
Which for some reason haven't been attacked by anything really, except for the first one that jumped in at them.
And here's a surprise. They're gonna bite.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Bite it and hit it with a sword.
16?
16 hits. And this is the one that's on the ground, right?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one that's in front of you.
the one I've been working on. Ooh.
Oh my god.
Nice.
2 6s.
15 damage.
15. It is looking hurt. It's ravaged at
Is
this
it
point.
prone?
And prone, yep.
That just gives the advantage.
Advantage, but he already had advantage,
already
so
had
it's
it,
just
so-
advantage.
You've got advantage on it.
Yeah, you would have advantage on it now as well. But it's looking quite hurt. It's like skin is torn open. It's bleeding profusely. But it does stand back up
Knocking down the
and will make its 2 attacks against one of your wolves. Doing
Which one? Which one?
One on its right.
So the one adjacent to me?
No, you're on the left.
The one
It's left. It's facing behind where Brynn was. Brynn was here. This was here. This was here, and then you're here.
And which
So
one?
it's this one. The one that had, the other one had previously attacked from this side.
Oh, it's right. Okay, I thought you said it's left.
No. Brynn's left. It's right. But it makes its attacks there, both of which will hit for, let's do these, 8 plus 4 is 12 points of damage. Constitution saving throw for that wolf.
That one is not within range. Yeah. It does not get bonuses. I can't help everybody, okay?
Right. That's a 5.
A 5. So then it also, wow, I haven't even had to touch this die yet tonight.
Celestial wolves.
Yeah, right.
Immune to poison.
It takes
I think they're classified as Fae.
It takes an additional 8 points of damage, and cannot gain back these 8 points.
I don't think there's any mechanism to heal them anyway.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah, so best that it happened on them than one of you. It bites in, and then it is now. That was that one there. Okay. The demon, seeing Coral kind of staring at it, smiles wickedly and kind of laughs and shoots forward again, its wings spreading behind it, trailing this dark energy, and it swings forward and right at Coral's face, and then passes through the both of you.
Sentinel attack.
Yeah, hell yeah, do
Because
it.
it attacked Coral.
And ironically, it rolled a natural 1. So it swings, and she's like, ah! And ducks back around to the other side of you, and it just misses. The energy kind of hitting the side of your face, but not doing any damage.
21.
Yeah. I didn't even have to check it.
Divine flavor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna reroll that. Okay. So I do 10 damage.
Okay.
2 of it radiant, if that's...
Is actually. You see as you hit it, the burst of energy that comes from the blade seems to, as soon as it zaps into it, kind of it swids away? Whatever.
Yeah,
swings away. And that did actually seem to injure it in some capacity extra.
Yikes.
Which a vulnerability just doubles it, right?
I think so, yeah.
So I thought, because the resistance,
works in
resistant
Pokemon.
halves it and a vulnerability doubles it, yeah. So what was your damage again? It was 10? Which?
It was 10, yeah.
10 total, and then 2 of it?
2 was
Okay.
radiant, so
Perfect.
it would be 12.
12 total. Perfect. And try to help me keep track of that,
Yeah.
that any extra radiant damage you do will be
Yeah.
doubled. So that brings us then to Brynn. You have this
that
near
one
dead
dog's
one,
still up?
yeah, right in front of you. It's nearly dead, but it's right in front of you.
Well, let's try and mercy kill it.
Okay.
Well, yeah. How's a 24 sound?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that'll hit it.
And yeah. What was that? 14? Yeah.
14. Yeah,
14
definitely
damage.
kills it.
Yeah.
Kills the crap out of it.
rolls.
So you lunge in and just tear it apart. And it immediately just falls down. Not even a sound as you right onto it. Leaving you with just one death dog in front of Kael and Coral, and then this shadow demon on the same side as the death dog. And then your 2 direwolves are still up, and it is the one in front of Kael's turn to attack, which it will do both of its attacks, and they both miss. You're up 16 or 17?
16.
16. Yeah, they both miss, actually. You're familiar with this one's attack pattern, and it just dodge out of the way, bringing us back around to your turn again.
Excellent. Well,
Got that quick.
so the shadow thing,
Mhm.
it's within reach.
Yes.
I'm going to hit it with my
Excellent.
sword.
Excellent.
22 probably hits on the first attack.
Yes.
Nat 20
Nice. All right.
on the second attack. All right, so we're
Give me
gonna
a grand total.
Yeah. All right.
You do all the math and give me
I'm
a
gonna get the
grand total.
calculator out.
Yeah, because I feel like this is going to be a lot.
Do I double the dice?
You double the dice on
And then
the second
on the
attack.
crit,
Yeah.
yeah.
So standard dice the first one, double the dice on the
Would
second one, and then
vulnerability
add your
double
bonuses.
the D4?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll just say it
so
does.
I roll the D4 and it's essentially quadruple this. Because it's doubled then
Yes.
doubled. Okay.
We'll say that's the case
All right.
for the D4 specifically.
I'm going to resolve that one first because there's more math involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you roll 4?
Roll a 3.
Nice.
That's 12
Yeah,
damage radiant.
that's 12. Yeah.
All right. So that's the first attack. Or the crit.
Mm-hmm.
No. Sorry. It's not. That's not the crit.
Just remember grand total for me. And then while this is happening, let's see.
Yeah, you do other stuff and I'll let you know.
Coral is also, it would be the next in line to attack, so she's going to see that you're handling this one. And wait a second, she killed the other death dog that was right in front of you, didn't she?
Mm-hmm.
So actually, that's all that there is this thing here.
The shadowy.
Yeah. She, however, is going to stay on your shoulder and not make any attacks. She's going to just kind of like really worried about this thing. And that will bring us to Brynn's Direwolves.
Real quick.
Yes.
Since I'm still calculating damage,
Mhm.
I'm just going to let you know that on the crit, no, it doesn't matter. On both, I'm going to smite.
Okay.
Oh, ham.
I'm gonna smack this thing real hard. I just want to spit out a really big number.
Yeah.
Where's the smite?
I've got good consistent numbers tonight, but you got the nuke.
All right, so I'm gonna do a D8, 2D8
Okay.
on both rolls, and it's radiant. So there's another 18.
So anyway, my wolves are gonna
perfect.
15.
15 does hit.
I did 12.
And this would be piercing damage?
Yeah.
Okay.
And can it go prone?
No, it cannot. Yeah, it's got an immunity against it. It's hovering. It's flying, basically. So it is immune to prone, specifically.
To block it.
However, it also doesn't seem to take nearly as much damage from the Direwolves as you would have expected. And in your motions of attacking here, you kind of notice the same concept with your regular damage of your blade.
Okay.
So whatever your number is, this will be the number, but then it'll be different for the other guy.
Well, the total is 78.
78?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus fucking Christ! Because even whatever.
Because radiant's double.
Okay, so yeah.
And I'm rolling 2d8. So I rolled a 9 and a 6.
Because of your smite and everything. So
that's 30 damage.
Describe the manner in which you kill this thing.
All right, so
my wolves didn't even actually
technically no, but we'll say that.
No. Okay, so as his wolves, kind of, swipe through it, and it starts to tatter, I kind of see like a wrinkle sort of in the pattern. I see what seems to almost be like a core to it, and I just kind of I swing once to kind of clear away a little bit more, and then like right where I see what I feel is kind of like its soul, like its core. And then on the second one, I just kind of swing in, channeling all of my righteous fury, and I just cut it in twain.
And as you do that, it bursts in this vibrant, radiant energy that just completely dispels all of the darkness in this area. The shadow form itself, the shadows that had been coalescing around the trees, and the sun is risen in this time frame. And you now look about like, whoa, how long did this take? And the sun is up. The death dogs are all dead around you. There are a total of 4 of them dead around you. And there's just this kind of pile of ash and black dust in front of you. You killed it.
Yeah, just... That felt good. That felt good.
Twirl your sword around.
Yeah. Hit it right in the sweet spot.
And as you guys finish this battle, Halfgren lands, transforming from an owl back into his normal form, pulling his staff around and...
Well, good work, boys.
Morph back. Nice of you to join us.
You had it from the beginning. And as this moment happens, the 2 wolves fade away in that same misty, glittery form that just sparkles as it raises through into the sky as you lose sight of it.
Well, Brynn, shall we be returning home now?
I would like that very much.
Perfect. So you guys do continue on coming into the familiar clearing that Kael, you now know as Brynn and Halfgren's home. And the space is already starting to come back from the attack that had taken place only a few days prior. You can see the grass regrowing, as if this space here is where the energy to regrow this kind of is stemming from. And Halfgren takes a look at the pile of dead bodies you guys left behind. Now
I burned them, didn't I?
you burned them, but there's still stuff. But now they have a bed of flowers fully growing all on top of the space there, with little bits of grass around it as well.
Drider would be such good fertilizer.
Always have been. And Halfgren kind of just takes a seat by the door and looks at the both of you. Well, what shall we do now?
I've got to get going. The Blades doing something against protocol. If sources can be believed, the Blades are massing as an army. We don't usually do that.
These are strange times. Strange indeed.
So I have to go. Brynn, you're welcome to come with.
I would, but my duty is to this forest at the moment.
You'll be missed.
As will you be.
But I guess it's time for me to go alone. Unless you want to come.
Can I?
Sure, but you'll have to become my squire. Yes.
What's a squire?
So, you know, in your tribe, do you have like great warriors?
Mm-hmm.
And do they help younger warriors get better?
No, they
Well, where I come from,
hit them.
the great warriors help younger warriors become better. Would
Your
you
eyes kind of light up a little bit.
Would you like me to help you become a better warrior?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's some stuff we have to do, but I'll make sure that when we get back to where we're going, we'll get you in.
She just smiles. Kind of
And
perking up again.
after that, I just ask Halfgren if there's some sort of boon we can grant them, some item, some blessing that we can help them on their travels with.
Yeah, let me see.
At the very least, since I won't be going with, still help them in some manner.
Let's see if specifically if Halfgren has anything on his person.
Or if I can nature magic something up.
Yeah.
Maybe I've like carved an amulet or something.
Yeah. So,
Maybe that's what I was doing on watch.
sure. Yeah.
He was whittling.
Go with that. Yeah. Go with that. We'll just say that's the thing. Go with that, and then I'll determine what it actually accomplishes, unless
In
you
the
have
future.
an idea.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. Nothing. Take this with you. I believe it could be of some use, some help. Though I may not travel with you, you can wear this and feel my assistance.
I undo the band.
It's just a simple like leather.
Yeah, and I just put it on with my holy relic.
Nice.
Just,
And as you do
it'll
this,
be with me.
the wood of
this day
it
to the
kind
end of
of
my days.
absorbs around your symbol, so that it's now this kind of natural living thing with this metallic symbol built into it. And the symbol,
Like it's almost slot into it.
yeah, it almost like it was just a puzzle piece that went together, and the symbol brightens up momentarily, and you feel a sense of kind of hope and energy based on this. Halfgren kind of silently observes this as Brynn says his goodbyes and walks off into the home. Halfgren steps up to you. I know she's odd, but check in with Morelia before you head out. I think she'll be able to assist you, and she may help you find your lost friend as well. Go now, Blade. May the light be with you. And he kind of on your shoulder.
Did I ever actually go to the store in the town?
No, you never went to the store. Well, no, yeah, you did because you were coming back from the spot. You did.
The
yeah.
hat store. So I have the hat.
Yep.
I want you to give this to him the next time he's a bear.
He looks at it, and it's a forest green beret.
A beret.
He looks at it and I like you. And he tucks it away, and you hear this laughter from outside the area, and I'll be sure to do that. And his laughter follows you out as you continue on your trail.
Right.
Before that, though, I come back out with a map because I'm the one that knows the area.
Yeah.
You probably have no idea where.
Yeah, I was going to say that you've gotten a map from one of the two of you. And you've got this map, and it now shows you a fairly direct path through the woods. What appeared to be just kind of a deer trail leading out of this space along the water's edge is actually, in fact, marked on the map. It's a fairly easy trail to follow even, though the forest around you is intensely dense in this space. But you begin your journey out, headed back towards Feldar. And I haven't had to say that name in a long time. And
where was that?
Yeah, it was off to the west from where you currently are. A couple days' travel. As you begin your journey, Coral riding along in tow, you feel a sense of accomplishment, a mild amount of sadness that your newfound friend has decided to continue his watch over the forest, though you do definitely understand the duty in that. And you're very excited and curious, this kind of almost buzzing feeling in your chest of what may be to come ahead of you. And that is where we will pick things up next week.
Plus I have a squire.
Yeah, you have a squire. So you now have your little companion, and yeah, so
It's pretty fun.
all right. And if you guys haven't guessed from the departure there of the party, Brynn is going to be staying in the forest and will no longer be joining us. So be sure to wish him farewell all across all the things, and we will pick things back up next week as we determine what is to happen with Maze. Where will Kael go? What is Coral? Who is she? Why was she in this prison? Was her story really true? Find it all out next week. See you guys.